Good morning, everybody. And I mean morning. It is 20 to 7. It is Sunday the 7th of June, I want to say. Supposed to be in Scotland. Supposed to be doing Ben Nevis. But there's a huge storm kind of to the northwest of Scotland. And we decided it was an awful long way to go when petrol is as expensive as it is. So we are in Edale. We've decided to do Jacob's Ladder. So I just thought I'd show you the car park. I did pay. Last time I came, I couldn't pay and had to use the app at some point. But it has worked today. You can pay with a Visa, and I paid £4.50 for 4 hours. And the car park is really quiet. I'm surprised. I assume people have kept an eye on the weather and are thinking it isn't looking very good. We were promised by the weather forecast that it would be dry, possibly sunny until about 11 o'clock. I'm not sure that's the case. While we were driving over, I was looking at the top of the hills and they are in the cloud. So I think it could be a rough ride, but we'll see. And the only other thing, as always, you know what I need, and they're open at 8 o'clock. It's 20 to 7. So I think I'll be using a lavatory at some point. But for now, we're going to get going. I've just got to wake up son number one, and then we'll be starting. So for those who haven't been before, just to give you your bearings, you come out the car park onto the road and you turn right up the hill. On the left is the station. There is a cafe here. I don't know what time it opened. It wasn't open when we left at 7:15. And then you head up underneath the railway line and you head up the hill towards the pub. Right, we've been walking about half a mile. It feels like a lot longer. We were both wondering what was going wrong. But we've been walking for half a mile. And we're coming up to the point where the path turns left. So when you get to the Nag's Head, you know you've gone too far. And there will be a path on the left. And if I remember rightly, the sign is pretty small. Now then, there it is. You're not allowed to do that. Right, this is the first bit that you need to look out for, and you've got a choice now. So we're coming up to a gate. And this is where the path splits or meets, depending on how you want to look at it. I'll show you in a second. There you go. Now then, we are at the join. We're going to go that way, through the gate and that way. And on the way back, I think we come down there. Obviously you can have the choice, but we choose to go that way because it's kind of flat. And that way, you've got to come down there. So you can see the path goes along there on the way back, and at some point we've got to climb that bit. But I find it easier to start on this path because it's paved. I'm sure we're going up, but it doesn't feel like it. We're a mile in. Extreme close up there. We're a mile in. So we've come from over there. The car's parked somewhere over there. This is the Hope Valley railway line, so somewhere down there if I've got my finger in the right place. Blue sky over there, but we're going that way. There's a happy young lad. So I left this in to give you an idea of the terrain. You basically reach a bit of a, I don't want to say a summit, it's nothing like a summit, but you reach a point at which you stop going up and you start coming down. And at that very point, the paving slabs end. And you end up at this very, very rutted, muddy path. And you're heading down. I've just pointed. That's the farmer's yard where you are heading to. And that's where you kind of turn right. You'll see it in a moment. You turn right and join a road. Right, this is the first bit that you need to think about. So we've come down the path. That's been fairly straight all the way. And then we're pretty much walking through a farmer's back garden. I don't think you can get lost, really. It's fairly easy. I wonder if they're selling ice cream at 6:30 in the morning. Evidently they are. Hey, look at that. And then there is a sign hidden up there. And we head this way. And this is a very pretty part of the walk. It doesn't last very long, but you're in this wooded area. We're walking over this stream. And after that kind of rutted pathway that I just showed you, this bit of tarmac is very welcome indeed. Uh-oh, biggest killers of mankind in the UK. Don't look into their eyes. That one's got killer written all over it. Oh! Hello. Whew.
You survived.
I think we survived. Right, we are 3 miles in, and this is where the work begins. We are heading up there. As you can see, it's stopped being flat. Now, what I do know is we've climbed 700 feet. I'm sweating. I'm ready to take my jacket off. It's 11 degrees. The wind is blowing, and I'm boiling. But this is where we start to make our way up. And just in case you're in any doubt, here's the sign that says you are starting. We are struggling. I am struggling. So I thought I'd take the advantage and stop for a video break. It's not that I'm tired. So we've come along there, down there, down there. Since I last spoke to you, we've done about 200 yards, but boy, are we climbing. And we go off up there somewhere before we start making our way up there. The river's down there. It looks like the sun is trying to come out, which is great. So I think it's the first time we can see the top, which is just there. Certainly the trig point, and then it goes along the top. Last time we did it, there was an eclipse, allegedly, and there were hundreds of people up there. Not so many today. There are 3 or 4 people we can see at the moment, and we passed 3 lads going down who looked like they camped overnight up here somewhere. So it's brightening up. That's where we're heading. I know I keep saying it. We have blue sky, look at that. And that's where we've been. And every time, you know what they say about a watched pot? Every time I look at my phone, we've gone about 10 yards, apparently. So we're still only at 3.5 miles. But I think we've climbed something like 400 feet since the 3 mile mark of that gate. But I feel like we've beaten it now. This bit's easier. Easier underfoot. And again, we've got to get up there. Whether we make our way across there so we're at the top, I don't know. Or whether we just head on around. But once we're up there, well, we'll speed up, we'll get going. That is where we've been. I can't see anything on the screen, so I'm not going to try and point. There is no point coming up here other than it's the top. And I think we might have a good view. So, that's where we've been. I said I wouldn't do it, didn't I? You sort of climb over there. And then up there, and then you just keep going over that way. These stones, to me, are the point where you feel like you've won. We're at just over 4 miles, so pretty much halfway. But this is about as high as we're going to go. All conversation has stopped. That's where I climbed up to a moment ago, and then we've kind of made our way across there, and then just over this lip. It should flatten out with any luck. That's what we're both hoping. I thought I'd show you my sweaty face, and then I'll show you where we are. It feels like we're on the moon at the moment. We've turned into this kind of boulder-ridden grey landscape. And when I said a moment ago, over the lip, that was down there, and we're still climbing. So I think it's fair to say the mood is descending somewhat, and then we'll feel better when we get to the top. So we just keep feeling like if we just get over the lip. So there's the trig point, so it can only be downhill from there, and our mood has changed instantly. We are in the boggy part. I remember this from last time. It's ever so strange, it feels like you're walking on a trampoline. Every step you take, you're kind of buoying, and you can feel the ground beneath you give a bit. And we're heading up there. So I didn't do anything I should have shown you. At the trig point, we turned right. There are about 3 or 4 paths by the look of it at the trig point. And we both said, I can't remember where we went. But we knew we go in this general direction, so we've gone this way. So we turned right. So we've come down there, and we're heading up there. My Padawan is in the way. So we've kind of dipped down through the boggy part, which wasn't too bad today, but it is June. So yeah, we're heading sort of to the right of those stones, I think. And the terrain is quite tricky. It's very wet, very lumpy. You see these things in the distance, and then all of a sudden you're kind of underneath it. Now that must be, I don't know, 40 feet high, 50 feet high. Really incredible. And that's where we've been. Again, I can't see it on the camera, but it's somewhere down there is the path. And then it kind of goes up. And then we've come all the way around there. I know it's nowhere near as high, but it does feel very similar to Ben Nevis, in that you can turn around and look back on where you've been, and you can very clearly see the path, which is what I should be doing at the moment, because this is hard. And he makes it look easy. God, there are tents everywhere. There's a couple of tents down there. There's a couple of tents in front of us. People wild camping. It's really strange. This is so green. Everything is so green. And then you turn up here and there's just rocks. Big lumps of rock everywhere. It's like the gods were carrying a big lump of rocks and thought, I can't be bothered to carry them any further, and just dump them all here. I assume it has to be something to do with the Ice Age. Now, I've left this part in purely and simply because I love it. It's my favourite part of the walk, aside from all the tents, which we hadn't seen before, and that makes it out as though we've done this walk a load of times. We've only done it once before, but there was nobody up here. There were tents everywhere. It was obviously a good camping site. I suspect you're sheltered from the weather. But I find this part of the walk absolutely fascinating. We both took different routes. I suspect there are other routes. There were rocks that I was looking out for because I saw them last time and I didn't see them this time. It's amazing. You could spend an hour up here just if you're into rock formations. All my son wanted to do, he's a boulderer, all he wanted to do was climb everything he could see. You could spend an hour up here easily. I love it. We've got a difference of opinion. Oh, he's only there, look. I was going to say we've got a difference of opinion and I thought I'd lost my son forever. But he's 6 feet away, he's just over there. He went the climbing way and I went the namby-pamby muddy way. I suspect we're going to converge again in a moment. I thought that was going to be a panicking moment and I was going to put it all on video. But there he is, walking along, looking at his phone like all youth. Gotta say, if I don't see my piggy, I'm not going to be very happy. This is all rather lovely. We noticed on the map that there was a bit of a kink in the path and couldn't really work out why. And it's here, so we've come sort of down there and there was a lot of down. We've been coming down for quite a way. And then you come to this. And again, it's perfectly alright as a path, but you really have to pay attention. You really have to sort of think about where you're putting your feet, and there have been a couple of times where we've realised that the steps are a bit too big and you have to rethink it. And it goes all the way back down to where we started. In fact, you can see the path down there. So this is lovely. And again, you can't help but think of Ben Nevis, because you have to cross the river or about halfway up Ben Nevis. And it's definitely getting darker. It is now, he says, it's 9:07. We've been walking for 2 hours 20 and we've done 5.5 miles. So we've got, I would say, about 3.5 still to go. So the hope is, once we do this bit, it'll all be downhill and we can get a bit of a move on. But that was something else, that really was. Very pretty. Right, we're in a nothing to see here moment. We've got the valley out to the right. We've done about a mile since the last check-in. The wind is really getting up. My wonderful microphone is probably doing its best to allow you not to hear that, but trust me, the wind is really getting up. We feel very exposed at the moment. This is the sort of flat part. We're heading over there. I just nearly fell over. And then I guess when we're sort of up there, then it's a very steep decline. So as I say, we're at about 6 miles now, so we've got maybe 2.5 to go. There we go. That bit was quite difficult throughout the last half mile. You had to really be careful about where you were walking. As soon as you're back on this, it's dead easy. Right, very, very quickly. Feels like I'm doing a lot of these. So we have just come that way, which means nothing to you. And we're now faced with a choice. Now the path goes that way. We are going that way. It looks like a path, but according to Google it isn't, but it actually gets to the same place. We're just kind of forming the third side of the triangle, so that one goes off that way and then goes up there, and we're just going straight up there. So if you get to this point and you wonder, either is right, either is good, this one is probably just a bit shorter. So I wanted a respite from the wind again. So this is where we've come from. So we kind of walked all the way along there, and we've walked along this path, and we're almost at the end. Annoyingly, we've got to go up now, but it's just the wind. It's absolutely unrelenting, and it's kind of behind and to the right, so it's just constantly pushing you slightly off the path, and after half an hour or so it's beginning to get a bit jarring. And then this is where the other path that I said about earlier has turned up. Hopefully you can see what I mean. There's nothing I can do about that hood. Drive me crackers. Sort of 10 seconds after I just stopped that clip, we walked over the brow. I should have carried on filming. We walked over the brow, and then hallelujah. So the car park, I can't see a thing on the screen, but the car park's somewhere down there. Hopefully you can see the path down there. There are a few orange people, as in they're wearing orange, not that they're orange people. So we've got a steep bit, and then it gets easier, and then a really, really steep bit into the end. But at least we're out of the wind. Hallelujah. Okay, so we have come from up there, and it really is quite tricky, and the rain is coming down. And I'm thinking when we get there, it's going to go really steep again. We can kind of see the bottom of the valley down there, and it's so far down. We've still got such a long descent without too many miles. I thought I'd just show you this. This has been going on for some time now. And again, we were up there not too long ago, and this is the path. Now, I'm not a fan of going downhill at the best of times. I always prefer to go up. And I know some people think that's mad, and some people will get that. But I always find going down difficult, and I assume it's because you're always going down at the end of the walk and your legs are tired. But going down on loose stones like this is even harder. Right, that was hard. This bit, very, very loose, very wet, very slippery. We were just saying, I know it's terrible, I know you shouldn't moan, but it really is hard. And then that's kind of where we're going. There is Edale. So we're going to go down here, it turns into grass, and then somewhere down there we're back on the path. It's just this bit has been incredibly difficult. So I know it sounds like we're moaning, but I think it's fair to say both of our moods have dropped a little bit at the moment. You just want this bit to be over and just want to get back to walking without your calf muscles screaming out. And we've done it, we've broken it, we're on the grass bit. Wind's still blowing, still trying to rain. Loads of people. It'll be interesting to see what the car park is like when we get down there. So many people coming up now, all seem to be doing it the other way to us. They're all doing it the other way round. But we've just got to get somewhere down there. We're just both praying now that it flattens out a little bit. It's so much easier now that it's grass, but we're still descending fairly rapidly. And we're back. So we came from there, we've come all the way down. And as I said, we are back at the signpost and the gate. So that's where we went at the start. and then we're back on this little pathway down into Edale, back to the pub. Turn right, then we've got about half a mile to go, and we're back in the car park. What do you want? And you kind of feel like you're finished, but we're still going down, so the legs are still hurting. It does flatten off, and then once we get on the road we'll be fine. Right, just as a closing picture, that's the entrance to the station, Hope Valley Railway Line, Edale Station. We've just missed a train going over, which is a shame. It's doing it, but the car park entrance, I think, should be just there. You wouldn't know, would you? But with any luck, the car is just through there and we are done. So, annoyingly, there's no signal, so I can't tell you. I was hoping to do a bit of a wrap up. I think last time we did it, it was 8.8 miles. It is obviously exactly the same distance. It's 8.8 miles. I think we were slightly quicker. I want to say we were about 3.5 hours. And it's well over 2,000 feet climbing. I kept on referring to Ben Nevis. It felt very similar to Ben Nevis. I'm not going to pretend it's anything like climbing Ben Nevis, but there are these similarities. You're roughly half the height of climbing Ben Nevis. Easily the same distance. As I say, 8.8 miles. In fact, that's more than climbing Ben Nevis. Brilliant. It is pouring down now. We are hopefully going to go to, I think they're called the Blue, I'll put the name up, the Blue something Caverns. They're only about 15 minutes away. We're hopefully going to go there. Hopefully it's not too busy. Certainly won't be raining down there. But yeah, brilliant day. Thoroughly recommend it. Really, really lovely. Lovely part of the world. And we're going to head over to the caves. So what can I tell you about the Blue John Caves? It was about 15 minutes from the car park in Edale. And I'd thoroughly recommend going. I'll give you some facts. They are guided tours only. There are 197 steps. So you have to go 197 steps down and 197 steps up. It's £19 each. And I think it's thoroughly worth it. It was brilliant. We were down there for pretty much an hour, I believe. This is all about 300 million years old from what the guide was saying. Fantastic visit. So I'll leave you in my favourite part of the walk. See if you can spot the man to the right in a moment. Thank you so much for watching. No idea what's coming next. I suspect it will involve Scotland.